Hey everyone, welcome back to another deep dive.
Yeah.
You know how this works. We get a stack of sources and we try to boil them down to the good stuff.
That's right. Get rid of all the fluff and just deliver that potent knowledge.
Exactly. And today, today I'm Hari.
And I'm Kimi.
And today we're diving headfirst into the neon-soaked world of Hotline Miami 2, Wrong Number.
Oh, yeah. One of my favorite games.
It's a wild one for sure. And this time around, our source material is going to be Wikipedia.
All right, so we're going to be fact-checking as we go.
Exactly. So we're sticking to the facts, but that doesn't mean we can't have some fun with it, right?
No, absolutely. We're going to unpack the game's development, its controversial narrative, and even explore some of the cultural impact it had.
Because even if you've never picked up a controller in your life, there's still so much to learn from a game like Hotline Miami 2.
Yeah, it really pushed the boundaries of storytelling in video games and sparked some seriously intense debates about violence in media and the role of censorship.
Oh yeah, we're definitely going to get into all that. But first, let's set the stage for anyone who might not be familiar with the game.
All right, so Hotline Miami 2 is what we call a top-down shooter, which means you're looking down on the action from above.
Yeah, kind of like you're a vengeful god controlling these tiny, ultra-violent avatars.
But here's the thing that makes Hotline Miami 2 so unique. It's all about speed and precision.
Oh yeah, one wrong move.
Yeah.
And you're toast. You and your enemies die in a single hit.
So the stakes are incredibly high, and it creates this really intense gameplay loop where you're constantly dying and restarting, trying to perfect each level.
It's like playing chess with a chainsaw. Every move has to be calculated, and you have to learn the layout of each level like the back of your hand.
Did I mention the masks?
The masks, oh yeah.
Yeah.
You get to choose different masks for your character, and each one comes with its own unique abilities.
So you might have a mask that lets you dodge roll or one that allows for non-lethal takedowns. It really adds a whole other layer of strategy to the gameplay.
It's like each mask gives you a different personality, a different approach to the carnage.
And then for the truly hardcore players, there's hard mode.
Oh yeah. Hard mode, don't even get me started on hard mode.
This mode removes the aim assist, so you have to be incredibly precise with your shots.
It's brutal, like trying to thread a needle while riding a roller coaster.
But that's part of what makes Hotline Miami 2 so addictive, that challenge, that sense of mastery when you finally conquer a level that's been giving you trouble.
And if you're on PC, you can even use the level editor to create your own custom levels and challenges.
Oh yeah, the level editor is amazing. It lets you unleash your creativity and share your twisted designs with the rest of the community.
It's like a whole other game within the game. And it's a testament to the developers Denton Games that they gave players that level of freedom and control.
They really wanted to empower the players to become part of the Hotline Miami universe.
Which is a pretty wild universe to be a part of.
Oh yeah, we haven't even scratched the surface of the story yet, and that's where things get really interesting.
Because Hotline Miami 2's narrative is so much more than just mindless violence. It's a complex, multi-layered story that spans different time periods and features a whole cast of characters with their own motivations and agendas.
It's like a Tarantino film mixed with a David Lynch fever dream.
Exactly. It keeps you guessing right up until the very end.
And speaking of the end, well, let's just say it's not your typical happy ending.
Oh no, it's far from it. But we'll get to that later. For now, let's dive into the heart of this twisted narrative and meet some of the key players who make this world so unforgettable.
Yeah, it's a story that really gets under your skin, and it stays with you long after you finish playing.
Oh, absolutely. And that's because the writers did such a great job of crafting these complex, morally ambiguous characters who, you kind of end up caring about even though they're doing some pretty terrible things.
Yeah, you find yourself sympathizing with these killers, these criminals, these broken individuals who are all caught up in this cycle of violence and revenge.
And you start to question, is there any redemption for these characters? Is there any way out of this mess? Or are they all just doomed from the start?
It's like a Greek tragedy playing out in a neon-soaked 80s Miami underworld.
Yeah.
Where fate and free will are constantly at odds.
Exactly. And the game doesn't shy away from the brutality of it all. The violence is graphic. It's in your face, and it's meant to make you uncomfortable.
Yeah, it forces you to confront the consequences of your actions in a way that few other games do. There's no escaping the bloodshed. There's no easy reset button. You have to live with the weight of every kill, every decision you make.
And that's what makes Hotline Miami 2 so powerful.
Yeah.
It's not just a mindless action game. It's a game that makes you think, makes you question your own morality, and makes you feel the impact of violence in a way that's both visceral and emotional.
And it's all tied together by this incredibly stylish presentation. The visuals, the music, the sound design, it all comes together to create this incredibly immersive and unforgettable experience.
Oh yeah, the soundtrack is amazing. It's like this perfectly curated mix of synthwave and electronic music that just pumps you up and gets you in the mood for some ultraviolence.
And it really sets the tone for the game. It creates this sense of unease, this feeling that something bad is always about to happen.
It's like the music is a character itself, driving the narrative forward and amplifying the tension and suspense.
And it's not just background music either. The music is integrated into the gameplay itself, like the way the beat syncs up with your kills. It just adds this whole other layer of sensory overload.
It's like you're playing inside a music video, with the visuals and the sound effects all working together to create this hypnotic and exhilarating experience.
And the developers really went above and beyond to curate the soundtrack. They featured a lot of independent artists and obscure bands, and the game actually helped to launch the careers of some of these musicians.
Yeah, it's amazing how Hotline Miami 2 became this unexpected platform for discovering new music and exposing people to these underground artists who might not have gotten that kind of attention otherwise.
It's a testament to the power of video games as a cultural force. They can influence fashion, they can influence music, they can even influence the way we think about the world around us.
And Hotline Miami 2 is a perfect example of that.
Uh-huh.
It's a game that transcends its medium. It's a work of art that sparks conversations and challenges conventions.
And it's a game that continues to resonate with players today. Years after its release, people are still talking about it, analyzing it, and creating new content for it.
So if you haven't experienced Hotline Miami 2 yet, I highly recommend checking it out.
But be warned, it's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, this is a game that will grab you by the throat, shake you up, and leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about video games.
It really makes you think about, the nature of violence and the ways in which it can be both seductive and destructive.
Yeah, and it also raises questions about our own fascination with violence.
Yeah.
Why are we drawn to these games, these movies, these stories that depict such brutality?
Is it a form of catharsis, a way to release our own pent-up aggression, or is it something deeper, a morbid curiosity about the darker aspects of human nature?
I think it's probably a bit of both,
Mm-hmm.
and Hotline Miami 2 definitely taps into that primal instinct we have for violence. But it also forces us to confront the consequences of that violence.
Yeah, it's not a game that glorifies violence. It shows you the ugliness, the pain, the suffering that comes with it.
And it makes you question, is it ever justified? Is there ever a winner in a cycle of violence and revenge?
And I think that's one of the most important messages of the game. Violence always begets more violence. It's a never-ending cycle that ultimately destroys everyone involved.
It's a sobering thought for sure. And it's something that we as a society need to grapple with,
Yeah.
Especially in a world where violence is so prevalent in our media and our entertainment.
Yeah, we need to be mindful of the ways in which we consume and engage with violence, and we need to have those difficult conversations about its impact on our culture and our psyche.
And Hotline Miami 2 is a perfect catalyst for those conversations. It's a game that provokes thought, challenges assumptions, and forces us to confront uncomfortable truths.
And it does all of that while still being an incredibly fun and engaging game to play. The gameplay is addictive, the story is captivating, and the presentation is just oozing with style.
It's a rare gem of a game.
Yeah.
One that manages to be both entertaining and thought-provoking.
And it's a game that I think will continue to be relevant and discussed for years to come.
So if you haven't already, I highly recommend giving Hotline Miami 2. Wrong number a try, but just be prepared for a wild and unsettling ride.
It's not a game for the faint of heart, but it's an experience that you won't soon forget.
And with that, we come to the end of another deep dive. We hope you enjoyed our exploration of Hotline Miami 2. Wrong number.
And we hope it sparks some interesting thoughts and conversations.
Until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and keep diving deep into the things that fascinate you.